What up? I'm Brian McDonald, co-founder, president at Melin Premium Headwear, here with a couple of very, very special, important people, brothers, basically the OGs that helped build this thing and really trenched it out with us to give us a foundation to be where we are today. To my right, we got Mark Mastrandea, original CMO, OG, partner in Melon. Jeff Cole, the greatest artist of all time, I might say. Original, graphics, art director, photographer, creative director, all that. And then we're here with our partner, our boy JJ, OG believer, day one, and my business partner, Corey Roth, co-founder. We want to start off by how we all met, yeah?
Why don't you start off with you and Corey, because I think that's the genesis of everything.
So, Chico State, C. Roth was balling off campus, and I was on campus where you couldn't drink. Wanted to go kick it with the friends, and C. Roth and I hit it off through a mutual friend, Tommy Brockert. And from day one, he was one of the highest integrity, best humans I'd ever met in my life, and that's what led to partnering up. But it was all on a journey to have a little fun off campus at Chico State.
How come I remember the Hooters Hotel? Is that in the story?
Oh yeah, Hooters Hotel.
I remember that.
We'll get there.
Yes, sir.
Why do I remember Tommy Brockert? That's the guy with the curls that shot the photo.
The last time we were all together 10 years ago at the photo shoot, Tommy was the one who shot it for us.
Oh my God. That's an embarrassing photo shoot.
Corey and I teamed up after college. We reconnected at an MMA brand called Tap Out, and it was on a tear, and I needed help, and Corey had experience selling clothes, so we brought Corey over to run the key account biz over at Tap Out. And as that brand continued to scale, we realized that they were going to have an exit and that it would make more sense to peel out from being employees to becoming a retained agency so that we could transition with the new ownership and maybe renegotiate some things. And so we founded a brand development consulting and sales agency called Doing Damage. Shortly after that, Tap Out sold, and our LinkedIn's kind of blew up with opportunities of people that were building MMA brands because they saw that we were the team that ran Tap Out's distribution.
He's underselling it right now. This was the greatest brand in the whole entire space.
At that time, it was dope.
At that time.
It was wild. We got to meet all the dope pro fighters, Tito Ortiz, and just everyone back in the day, Dan Hendo, Kimbo, all would all come through there. And through the industry, a good friend of mine, George Trelew, who had a killer career at DC and then went on to now, he built the brand called PSD.
Wow.
But George called me and goes, yo, I met this cat out of New York who's got a dope idea for a brand he's doing called Cage Hero. And he hit me up to see if I could help him, but I think it's more up your alley. Can I introduce you? And I believe that's how we got connected, right?
I've never met him in person. I've only talked to him on the phone.
He's
It's so
serendipitous
serendipitous how that happened. Then what happened when I called you? I hit that flight.
Yeah, so Mark hit me, fastest talker I've ever talked to in my life. And he's like, I just want to learn everything I want to learn out there. Maybe I'll come stay with you for 2 or 3 days and just take notes. And I'm like, okay.
There's that face.
And he literally booked a flight and showed up 2 days later. And we literally wrapped out. And Mark just sat there on his Mac, just rattling off notes. Everything I would talk about, we got to get the trademark set up. We got to get this business, plan set up. We got to get the distribution strategy, the merch plan. And he's just going to town. He then leaves, goes back to New York. He was already talking about Jeff, how he had the dopest artist of all time that he had met. Which, by the way, how did you guys meet again?
And Jeff, it's been 12, 13, 14 years. This girl I went on a date with, and long story short, I woke up in the NYU dorm at 8 in the morning, and for whatever reason, she's like, I have this super talented designer that I went to school with, you have to meet him. And it was to design for Cage Hero.
Was that U of A?
University of Arizona. We are no longer friends or talk with this girl, but we don't have to talk about that. And yeah, I called him
The next day,
and we just started doing contract work. And for a very, very long time, we just were working over Gmail chat, and we created a really good communication systems virtually. And he started working with me with Cage Hero, and then I knew right away when we started really forming the visual identity, I knew he had like the DNA, the type of human we wanted, and he was just like uber talented, worked faster than everyone, better concepts, and we brought him in, and then...
No, I remember the first call, Mark called me, he's like, all right, he's like, I have this really important call, like I'm gonna call you. He always says, I'm gonna call you in 5. I'm like, all right. I remember he called me, he's like, he like scared me, he's like, you can't tell anyone about this idea, and like all this
Good.
NDA
We're keeping
stuff.
that shit confidential.
He's like, this is like super secret NDA, and I'm like, I don't know what an NDA is and all this stuff. But yeah, he's like, yeah, they're making like ostrich out of like hats, and there's gonna be all this stuff. I'm like, dude, I literally had no idea what the company was. Yeah, I remember the first call where he told me about you guys. I had no idea still had no idea what the hats were after the call, because it was such a weird concept.
Yeah.
I remember the first call with you, though, honestly, because we'd seen your art and we're like, whoa, like, honestly, amazing. You're on the other end of the line. And it was effectively like, well, we have no team and no money, but we'd love to have you, Jeff. So if you're down, come on board.
I remember that was the pitch in the beginning, often.
Yeah.
No team and no money.
Hey, who came up with the names? Was it you?
The name was something that I actually forever geeked out on. And this is actually, no one knows the real story of the name.
I do know that real story.
But the name was something that I knew I wanted to start with an M, and was sitting after drinking all night. I don't drink, been sober a long time, but was drinking all night, stayed up with my homie Eddie, and we were looking at his watermelons growing in his front yard and ended up seeing them. And I had a list of names that started with an M, and just put the word Melon on the list. And then Corey and I linked up to do the brand, and we were, looking at it as, the brand name being Melon. And our attorney friend at the time was a European guy. And he goes, oh, like Melon, like a milliner. And I go, what? And he goes, like a milliner, like a custom hat milliner. And I go, that's not really where I had come up with Melon, but that's a dope thing. So we went on this journey to like research what this milliner term and concept was, which was the ancient art of hat making. So it kind of put the cosign stamp on, yeah, that's gonna be the name for sure.
You reverse engineered it and made it make sense for that. I like that.
Yeah.
Even though it was just a melon.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the hat name that I branded, the milliner hat? Do you remember that? It was like the brown one, and I did the whole lookbook.
Heritage.
Yeah, the Heritage.
We
did
that
the
hat
whole
is
milliner.
Still fire to this day.
The whole milliner
Herringbone
lookbook
and leather.
for that
Oh
one.
yeah.
You just told me, I remember we were at, this is really aging ourselves, we were at the Magic trade show. It was like 2012 or 2013. The iPad had just come out. And I remember, you don't give yourself credit for this either. You had a very simple, succinct pitch. I remember us sitting, and before you showed me the CADs, you were like, there was Lee jeans and Levi jeans. He's like, and then like 7 was blowing up, and then someone created this category of new jeans. And then right around that time when you were like kind of like soft selling me, like Stance started coming in and they created a new category for socks. And I was just like, wow, nobody is selling expensive hats. So you showed me CADs, you showed me that, and I was like, and I remember telling my friends, and they're all like, there's no way you're gonna be able to sell hats for that much money. And I was just like, all of these other categories, at one point, someone wasn't selling it. So you told me that, and then what made you think of hats in general? What was it? Yeah.
Obsessed with hats growing up, and went to fashion school, wanted to start a brand, and just realized that no one was trying to make a great one, and was frustrating to be a guy that only felt confident in my hat. And then right as you'd start to feel confident, because you'd be wearing it for a few weeks, it would start to like break down and stink and get nasty. And that always pissed me off, because then you have to go back to like find the next one, break it in, and start to find yourself again. It takes a little time to find yourself. So, and then there was the fact that women could run all generic, like no name anything, and throw a Louis bag on, and all of a sudden when they stepped out, it was like stunting. But dudes couldn't really do that. You could do it with a watch, but it wasn't as obvious as a purse. And to me, a purse and a hat had the same like level of visibility and defining your wardrobe. But the hat, there was no way to stunt with it when you put it on, whereas the Louis bag, as soon as you put that thing on, you're saying something. So the idea was, could there be a brand that when a person put it on, it really upped their game, their confidence, it was better made, and then the brand would be, synonymous with premium.
And really just at that time of life, we were at the point where we were starting to buy better things, appreciate better made things, wanting to kind of buy less things, but better things. And in every other category, you could find a premium version or a premium option of it, at least one brand or multiple brands. And it just made no sense that nobody was kind of innovating or elevating the baseball style hats that you wore every single day.
I'm getting flashbacks of like those pitches in the beginning. Like literally, this is literally like verbatim.
Oh my God.
This is literally verbatim of the stuff
It's
that
tattooed in
the
your
stuff that we
brain,
said.
you know? Corey was the first, like, you know, the go-to, so to speak, on the partnership with him. And I had already built Doing Damage to this little place of success. And he was the highest integrity dude I knew, and I knew that he could hold down certain things. And I was just like, dude, as soon as I showed him the little concept, and when he turned around, he's like, why are we not doing this? I was like, all right, we are. Let's go.
How did JJ come in? Give us a story on Uncle JJ.
Well, I mean, I came in through Steve Astinson, and they were asking to raise money with him. And he goes, you got to meet with these two dudes. And I was like, well, I'm about to go eat lunch right now at Fat Burger, and I'm gonna go to LS&S to go buy some shoes. They can meet me up there. And I went to Fat Burger, and I was in my car, and kind of similar experience, part of the culture, and living a different lifestyle at that time. And they pull up in flip-flops and a big beard and a Prius with tap-out stickers on the Prius. And being in Orange County and knowing MMA and tap-out, I knew the tap-out guys from Vegas. And they came and they pitched me at lunch over the hats. Were you with them?
No.
No.
It was
Mark came and moved out later.
Oh, he came and moved out later? Because I remember you guys like, oh, Mark's gonna come move out. You got to meet Mark in person. I think I just talked to him.
Hefe, Steve tells us, you gotta meet this dude cooler than me. And you could just tell Steve was important, and then whoever he was putting us with was gonna be important. Yeah. I literally, no joke, remember seeing this like maroon sparkly Escalade on maroon 26s roll into the parking lot. Hey. And JJ jumps out in a jumpsuit that matches the Escalade. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, holy shit. Who is this dude right now?
That wasn't on purpose. I just had, I wore a lot of maroon or a lot of red. And that's why when I saw the hats and I saw the things, I told him, I was like, there's a couple things I would change. And I was like, inside, if the hat is black, you can't have like purple and green on the inside.
Mark hated that too.
You gotta make it black, and you gotta make it.
We could get into the hats if we want. We had a lot of arguments.
Those colorways made no sense.
Made no sense.
Do you guys think some of those hats right now, I mean, obviously we'll talk about what we're launching. I feel like it was just the silhouette. Like I feel like some of those hats from back in the day, if we relaunched them with this silhouette,
100%.
like that was the problem. Remember the arguments that me and Brian would get in? Because I was the CMO of the company and the hats were too big on me. You used to fucking rip into me. Because you're like, you gotta fucking wear the hats. I was like, I wanna wear the hats, but they're too big on my head.
They don't look good on me. I don't feel good in the hats. I don't wanna. But then when you started wearing that black leather Voyage, it made my life. When you rocked that for like 5 years. I was like, Mark is in.
By the way, for everybody here watching, the black Voyage, it's a black leather curved brim hat.
Softest lamb napa.
I might hold the Melon record of wearing that.
The longest?
The highest duration in existence for probably 6 years.
Every day.
Outside of athletics, black tie, intercourse, or shower.
I knew that was coming.
I'm wearing that black hat, guys. I'm wearing that black hat. You see me everywhere.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I loved it too.
That's how I knew you had deep-seated love even when we kind of parted ways, because you would run it, and I was like, all right, Mark still has love deep down in there.
Do you know that Corey, about a year after I left, I remember you gave me, I have another one of them.
The very last one I ever had. It was my personal one. It was the very last one, so I gave it to you for sure.
We don't get those type of hats, man. I'll be taking Brian sometimes.
I got that in the pocket that if I ever want to do an additional rebrands, I'm coming back with that one.
Do you remember the Karim Benzema argument?
What was the argument?
We were supposed to look at a line or something, and you come storming in like a hurricane, and you're like, I gotta go to LA right now. We have an opportunity to get hats to Karim Benzema, and he's dating Rihanna, and I gotta go right now. And I'm like, you're not going anywhere. We got the shit to do right now. And you're like, Brian, I'm fucking going. And I'm like, we're about to do some shit, dude. Like, you can't just hurricane through here and fucking take off right before. And you're like, I'm going. And you just left, and I was so pissed. 2 weeks later, Karim Benzema and Rihanna, front page of everything, wearing the hat. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta be easier on Mark.
I did make some good early
You had
ones.
some good calls.
Yeah, but I remember you were so hard on me, and JJ would sporadically come in and
Be even more hard?
Oh, dude, you were so hard on me, bro. Which to this day, I thank you for that. just doing more, doing impactful stuff. And me and him just had this weird thing where I don't like getting told what to do. Clearly, he doesn't like getting told what to do.
Any of us.
And
That's why we're all here.
it was weird because I was like the quote unquote CMO, and then I had these two basically sniper rifles in you and Victory. So then like, you guys had to like kind of report to me, but I don't really think you report to anybody. So then that kind of got a
You
little
guys
rough.
can't imagine how that feels.
Yeah, imagine JJ reporting to me. And I'm like a little bit younger from you, and obviously like we're two brash dudes, so I always knew it was from a good place though.
You grew, but that New York attitude you had just sometimes it just rubbed me the wrong way, and I'd go in there. And I'm like, hey man, we're about to do this. He's like, no, you gotta look at it like it's black and it's white. This is, I was like, no man, there's gray. There's not just black and white. You gotta look, sometimes there's in the middle. It's not just one or the other. And that was, I think.
We, at this size in the business, can afford to take risks. And if we try a $5,000 thing that doesn't work, nobody has to lose a paycheck on it. But back then, like, it was life or death. Yeah, like if we were sending one hat out, it would cost us dearly. And so we'd be like, well, where the fuck's the post? What do you mean you gave him a hat and you didn't post?
You didn't tell him he had to, Mark?
Like, what? There were so many like crazy opportunities like this journey presented. And honestly, to your credit, you are like one of the world's best marketers, literally.
Hustler.
Literally,
Thank you,
one of the
man.
world's best marketers. You understand how to drive demand, how to create excitement, how to get insane value for, not a lot of hard costs. And like, I think that's why when you guys dipped, we obviously were pained by it deeply because there's no, like replacing you guys, like you need 7 people. And so when you guys dipped,
14 with him.
Yeah, 14 if you both, you need to.
Maybe 20.
But literally, like I knew you guys would be successful, and I, deep down inside, always wanted you guys to be successful because like you're like little brothers to me, and each of you lived at my crib for a period of time, and we all lived.
Shout out Sue, Mike, shout him out.
Bro.
I slept on all the couches.
We slept at your parents' house too, bro. The basement was clutch in New York.
Yeah,
Your mom, Iris, is the shit, bro. Best food situation in the world. Most sweet lady ever.
She's rooting for everybody here right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, dude. Looking back, man, I was mad for a while, and now I look back and like, with our company, the first like 4 years, it was. I mean, we didn't have any issues. We had like small issues, but like it was basically a rocket ship. And then when we started having like any growing pains, when you grow a company.
Talk about that real quick in case this, some of this audience doesn't know when you guys departed Melon, what you guys created.
Yeah. With IKONICK though, so me and Jeff just started drop shipping art in 2016. And then in 2017 in March, we learned about Facebook ads and Instagram ads and did 6 figures, and then it just went up and up and up and up.
Taught us a lot too, along you learning more, teaching, it was cool.
And we did a couple $1 million part-time, and I remember to this day, we had another quote-unquote job, and that guy would leave the office, he'd shut the door, we'd rip espressos and just stay up all night, wake up early, and then started getting some licenses, and then Gary Vaynerchuk came in, Scooter Braun came in, and our production came in, and then we went full-time, and that was 6 years ago. And yeah, it's been a wild ride. We're gonna talk about
I remember
that.
Jeff, though, even back then, we were talking about like titles and you're a graphic artist, you're a creative director, you're a photographer. And from day one, 10 years ago, you said, I only want to be known as an artist, period. And there was never debate about that. There was never any wavering in that about you or negotiating that about you. I mean, you wanted to be known as an artist to the world. No matter what element of that you were working on at that moment, you were steadfast in that. That was always your answer. You never changed your mind on that.
But that was like before I really got into entrepreneurship, obviously, and and then obviously learning everything from you guys. And when Brian forced me to do obviously the price sheets and source fabrics, I'm like, bro, I can't do math. Like I don't know any. And then it got a little weird, but yeah, I mean that's where I learned. That's where I learned how to really be an entrepreneur and how to do CAD files and. I mean, I learned everything from Melon.
That's awesome. 10 years later, the same OGs that started this are coming back to bring, one of the legacy products, the bar, back, and we've added the Ace, which is effectively our nowadays A-game curve visor.
Seeing how like passionate you were about hats and just like every little detail about like the eyelids and just like, because I have, you know, if anyone knows about these hats, especially the amount of detail and branding and like knowledge you have about hats and that went into all these, and like obviously all the duds we went through, like that also set
A lot of duds.
A lot of duds.
A lot of duds.
that,
And a lot of chiefs with comments.
but like that approach like really made me do the same thing with how I approached working for Melon.
That's
And like
awesome.
that started my work ethic, is like, damn, looking at how much you know about all this, put into all this, and then like I want to do the same exact thing.
That's
Who would you rather work for, Brian or Mark?
Wait, are we talking about? We talking about 2014, Brian, or 2000?
That's not that.
You know what? Brian was always good at hyping. You always send emails back. They're like, dude, this is sick.
All right, good.
So those emails I always love Brian's emails.
Big exclamation guy.
Yeah.
Big exclamation.
Huge exclamation.
You gotta be
yeah.
exclamation
They're gonna
guy.
speak.
That hasn't changed.
Every time I send something off to Brian, because we obviously worked remote a lot in the first years, I always look forward to the emails back. With
That's awesome, bro.
Dude, this
I
is
almost
sick.
remember when we first saw one of your artworks go. I forgot what the artwork was. Like, it was like your first major post that you did that went like,
Crazy.
Oh, it was
That was-
Easy's face, wasn't it?
what? No. Was it a Jordan? Was it a Jordan one? No.
I thought it was Easy's
a lot
face.
of
He-
them gone crazy.
it was somewhere where Brian came in there and he was like, "Yo," he's like, "Did you see Cole's work? Did you see? God damn, we lost him."
You still have all my original artwork though from that office.
Still in the office.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Still in the house. Yeah.
Got some of the OGs.
But yeah, that's my experience.
You're being hard on yourself.
Appreciate it.
Like, I think the craziest thing about this is so many people to this day, like I remember, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago when I was giving out the hats and the silhouettes were different where it didn't fit people's heads. And now, I mean, so many people ask me for, can you hook me up with
A lot
hats?
of that's you, a ton of that's Corey pushing back. I didn't want any curve visors in the line for the first year. I was like, nah. And then,
That's why I always wear it backwards.
you know.
But people don't see how, I mean, the first couple of years, like, I can never be mad at you because, you know, they say the man in the arena, they say, you know, the peacetime CEO versus the wartime CEO. Like, you did your job. You kept the fucking lights on, bro.
Appreciate it.
And like, I know, and like, you had met your then girlfriend, fiance, now wife. So you had a girl, you had your own separate life. And then you had these 6, 7, 8 hooligans you're managing. You're trying to keep the lights on. I know what that's like, just sometimes the stress that I need to personally bear. And I know that you had to bear it. And then for people that don't know, how this company started, like, we raise money from family and
Investors,
friends.
yeah.
So this is not like, you know, raising money from one person and it's a VC firm. This is, you have people that you look them in the eye, you give them their word, that you love and you care about them. And the weight of the fucking world was on your shoulders.
yeah.
So like, anything that you said to me then, dude, I know because, you know, now, you know, we've had ups and downs with our company. And I just look back, and if someone just isolated heard some of the shit that you said to me, they'd say that's foul. But like, for me looking back, I'm just like, this dude had fucking the weight of the world on his shoulders.
I appreciate it, but it's
absolutely
no
no
excuse. I just look back how young we were too. I'm like, there was a level of maturity I just straight up lacked when we started this thing, and with you guys getting humbled up by a lot of the hard lessons, mentors, all of it, like I feel like if I could restart right now,
Yeah.
the level of different, which is kind of what I'm trying to do with our current squad. We're moving into our new headquarters in 3 weeks. And I look at it as like, whoa, we're like actually gonna turn the page to do as much of this as well as we possibly can, surrounded by pros with so many lessons learned, with gas in the tanks, with momentum. And like, it's a different level of fight. Honestly, each of you guys at different times, like Corey and I often, the way I was able to burden a lot of that was going and privately walking miles.
Oh, I remember the walks.
with Corey.
Tower last
We
stand.
had a lot of those fucking walks,
Like
bro.
miles of just like, we gotta figure it out, we gotta figure it out. It was never like, we're gonna shut it down, ever. It was always just like down to the last nickel, down to the last thing of like, okay, what are we gonna do here? What are we gonna do? Let's start coming up with shit we gotta do. So it's just a refusal to quit from day one, and it'll always be that. And that to me, now as an investor looking at brands, like I like dead set on the founder. I'm like, you willing to die for this shit?
Yeah,
Because it's like that level of like,
Yeah, you will. I think we always believe that too.
Yeah.
And that was like, I think that's really important, obviously, when you're on a team like that. Like, there was no doubt in my mind whenever I was there that this will be a successful company.
I appreciate
You don't lose, you quit. And I remember
You don't lose, you
I remember when Gary said that about like me, and I was just like, damn, like, and then I just saw that.
Because you're afraid.
Yeah, because you're afraid to fail. Like that's like for me, like that's always like on one side of my head, like I cannot let this thing fail, and just that's always in the back.
That's why you're winning.
I love
Yeah,
this
let's
new
go.
mature. I love this new mature Mark. Man, I love this guy, man.
It's kind of
We had a little rough.
Damn.
I mean, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Like, would this? I know that you're like both like radically paranoid because you've been in not a good spot, and then obviously you're in a good spot now, and you want to execute the mission. But like, how much better does it feel knowing that you? I mean, the reality of everyone. I mean, we could say it. This thing was on the brink.
Oh,
It was on the brink
probably
of.
4 or 5 times.
Yeah, the brink.
It was down to leverage credit card debt
Yeah.
with no way to pay it back.
But like, I feel like if you don't have
Ola
that
Kai
side,
honestly came in and saved this company. 100%.
Yeah. But I feel like if you didn't have that, then this wouldn't feel how it feels. And like,
I said that yesterday with Shex. Like, you got to taste the level of depth of struggle to appreciate how this feels.
100%.
And I'm appreciative every day. I wake up with a whole grateful exercise. And like if I go out, if I die today, it will have been the greatest day.
I felt that with you guys, but I didn't have the true ownership of taking on the burden. And it wasn't until seeing and taking on the burden with IKONICK and us having a little bit of a rough patch at some point, where like now I never want to fucking go back there.
Yeah.
Ever again.
It's funny, like there's a level of gratitude that I don't tell this squad enough about. Like if I go on a vacation or if I'm up, with the kids coaching baseball, this squad's making this thing better than it was an hour ago, and it'll be better tomorrow because of it. And so that thing to me of like having the team now to be able to know that it's going, and that there's enough financial discipline and profit in this thing that it can hold itself down and propel its own growth. There's like a freeing burden there. Imagine had we actually had resources.
Yeah.
Like that's now where we are, is we actually have the best team.
There's
We
a lot
actually
of
have
people behind these cameras, guys.
Yeah. So it's a crazy feeling right now to think about like how much less stress. I was giving the example earlier. We gave birth to Wes and he's 7 now. And on that day, we lost our funding and we ran out of money. Corey took the investor call because I was in the delivery room. And I came out, the first thing I wanted to do after my son was born is check if we got the money to pay the bills for the next run of AP. And he goes, don't worry about it. Just enjoy your day. I go, but wait, did we get it? He goes, don't worry about it right now. Just soak up this time. I'm like, we didn't get it. I go, we didn't get it, did we? And he's just quiet. And I was like, oh my God. And I walked out of the delivery room and sat there with my dad. And I was like, you want to talk about the pressure of having a kid that you're now responsible for, and a wife who just went through war to have a kid, and you're sitting there going, oh my God, I got to walk back in that room with no awareness of how I'm going to pay the bills or help or keep this kid alive. Or it was the scariest fucking moment of my life. Like I would say that was like my bottom. It was my peak and bottom in the same day. And then we had Levi 2 years ago. Amidst Melon's explosive growth, things are aligning, and taking that few days off was like the most incredible, fulfilling, and joyous. I was present, got a call from our chairman, from Jim Harris, wishing us, good luck and take as much time as you need, and the business is exploding. And I'm just sitting there like, talk about opposite places.
You never forget those things,
Oh
though.
my God.
I mean, without going through those things in the early years, there's no way you can appreciate, the grind and the growth, and you never take for granted where it is today. Of course, growing has its own challenges, but those challenges are way cooler than the early challenges, for sure.
I feel like it's a cycle. To become an entrepreneur, you create something from nothing. You're given some advantage from someone that believed in you. If you make it successful, you now have this obligation to pay that forward and to do that for the next, group of people. And there's been so many times where I'd be on a walk or solo driving thinking, if there was some wealthy person that had enough discretionary money to know how badly I need it right now, and how much effort I would put into making sure it doesn't go to waste and that it wins, I'd just please present me with this person to just give me this fucking opportunity. And it would always come because of that like level of just obsession to find a way, you know? Let's talk about OG line plan with Melon. Like a lot of the people in the world know us today for our hydro technical performance product.
Why couldn't you drop that hat when we were here?
I don't know.
Well,
Would have made things
what do you mean?
Would have made things easier. No, I mean,
Yeah, that was like the original
was-
watermelon, right?
Yeah.
it was It was just coming in.
Just.
Well,
Yeah.
that he left, and I stayed for 6 more months.
That's right.
After that, and that's when we were.
Jeff
doing
tried to make it work with me, but you know, I appreciate
I
that.
don't know if it was you per se, but
But yeah, so the range initially, we wanted to make sure when we came out with this concept of the world's most premium headwear, that we wouldn't unintentionally market ourselves in no man's land price-wise and market position-wise. So we knew we had world's most premium. To us, that meant brands like Rolls-Royce, Rolex. There were tip of spear luxury brands who had owned that mind space in their respective categories. And so we wanted to come in so ridiculously opulent high that it would be damn near impossible to say you're more premium than us. So the first range had Red Label, which was the very, very top tier, limited to 50 units ever made in a locking red box with its own plaque, certificate of authenticity, and had precious metals and stones. So VS diamond, mounted in ceramic trims on the world's rarest doeskin wool. And so Red Label was all the way up. It was $1,000 for us.
Dynasty,
The
right?
That was
Dynasty.
Dynasty.
Yeah.
Then you had White Label, which is where we're stepping back into our White Label roots for the Decade collection that are limited to 300 units ever produced and very similar, call it luxury materializations, but we didn't include precious metals and precious stones. So White Label meant limited to 300 units and it comes in the white box. And so it's kind of a nod to that upper echelon, yet attainable upper echelon price point. The White Label is where we're going to honor this Decade re-release of the bar and this Decade version of the Ace. So there'll be 300 units each ever produced. We'll hopefully keep a couple for like the archives. JJ, I'm sure will want to at least.
This is the
one of
Hefe
each.
line. He just
This
came
is
into
the
the
Hefe
meetings.
line.
He's just like, we got to do the bar. We got to do the bar.
Yes. That it only took like 7 years to get it to come back, but yes.
I still wear the old OG ones from back in the day. I still got like 4 of them.
I feel like this hat was the most, obviously it's an iteration of it, was the most worn hat by celebrities.
It was. It was like an iconic.
I said that yesterday.
It was
I
like an Hermes Birkin bag.
One of the moments was like seeing like 50 Cent wear it on tour and like pop out with it. And you're like, damn, we're at the culture, right? Like that was like the moment for me, one of the moments. And you go into a club, you see Flo Rida wearing the red one, or you see, I mean, every culture, like every nightclub I went to, whatever the main celebrity was there was like popping off with a bar in their section.
But it was always materials, details, innovation. I mean, that still hasn't changed. That was it from the beginning.
God.
4 pillars.
But what it evolved into, I mean, you know, Brian's huge, you know, wakeboarder, snowboarder. My background was football, baseball, and we were making these hats out of Italian cashmeres and Napa leathers and Japanese denim, and it was like, that's awesome for when you're going out, but we can't really wear these hats for the type of things that we're doing every single day. You can't wear these to the gym or to the beach or in the water to do the things that we actually wanted to do, you know, on a daily basis. And so it was still take the principles of materials, details, innovation, and then apply it to the activities that we actually like to do and look at it through a more of a functional performance lens. And so, you know, that's eventually what evolved into Hydro, which is kind of where it all, you know, started to grow and come together.
The
but
winner.
it was still.
Yo, thank God this dude renamed it. It was Watermelon. And then Corey was looking at the line and he's like, it kind of just means made for the water. And he came to me, he's like, what about like Hydro? And I'm just like,
Good work, bro.
yeah, great word. I was thinking weed, but like,
I think I made that watermelon logo too.
and then thermal for the cold weather. I was like, yeah, it's a great idea. So we made the change, and then that hit. So with that, the point being like the technical products were able to achieve a far more commercial price point with a far more intentional purpose, an advantage they could provide you, which was to eliminate or reduce the sweat stains while you train or play, easy rinse, renewable, lightweight, great for training. They floated if they fell off in lakes, rivers, or oceans. And so that technical, call it a feature set that we were able to introduce at a more commercial price point started to resonate. And now it's going.
Now I see them
There'll be
in
a million
airports
hats this
around
year.
the world, everywhere.
I couldn't forget about you guys, even if I wanted to.
I have 2 confessions I have to tell you, though.
Please.
I think I was still on contract work. We were like working 3 years, I'm crushing, I'm doing well. And you guys gave me my first gift I've ever gotten from an employer or anyone, really. Like, you got me that giant gold Nixon watch. I remember that. And I thought it was the coolest thing. I was telling my friends, like, guys, you have no idea. Like, the guys at Melon, they got me this like sick ass gold watch, but I actually had to sell it. I don't know if I told you this, because I had no money.
I'm buying you another one.
And obviously I wasn't making any,
Real money, yeah.
Yeah, we were making a lot of money, but like,
We're starting.
dude, I had to sell it. I don't forget, I sold it for like $400. I forgot where, maybe on eBay or something. I felt so bad. And I was like, there's no way they can ever find out.
You upgraded.
Yeah, you upgraded, bro.
But that story just, because I still have anxiety. Like, I'll have like dreams about that. You guys
You're
have
absolved
found
of all
out.
your sins.
Oh, you're forgiven, then we're gonna get you a
absolved
fresh
of all
one.
your sins, man.
But yeah, that was
I
like the
actually
coolest
take
thing.
responsibility for not paying you enough to where you had to sell your Nixon watch that I should have
But I
probably
also
given
couldn't tell you
cash.
that. I'm like, yeah, you guys don't pay me enough, so I had to sell the watch. You guys.
Just honestly love you guys so much. Like, this is brothers, this is family, this is whatever you need for the rest of your life type shit that we've been through together. You guys gave us every single thing you could give us and then some when you didn't have anything else to give. And I don't think appreciated it at the level that we certainly do now. And they're just proud of you guys for everything and very grateful for you being willing to do this iconic decade collab project. This might become, not even might, this will for sure become my favorite hat we've ever done in the history of the brand because of what it will embody and represent, not only the duration of time in business, but with you guys, with Jeff's pillars, with JJ's love for the bar, like it's all there in this hat for me.
It honestly just feels good to see you guys and sit with you guys and chat. A lot's changed, but nothing's changed. Like when I talk to you guys,
Straight
it's still
up.
just Uncle Jeff and Mark and everybody.
He's mature, man. You've always been the same. That man's mature, though. That man came a long way, man.
And I do know how to do laundry now.
Yeah, this
No
man
diesel
came
and
a long- I'm
Audis.
proud of you, man. You
say that now.
I know, but you gotta look, everybody involved, right? Like, I know he might not be perfect, but I can already tell his growth is way, 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 way past where he was before, man.
I don't know. Well,
I was in my 20s. I was
crazy, bro.
I was mid-20s. But yeah, I'm super excited for this to come out. Too many people hit me asking for hats, pushing them all towards this. Get it while you can. We're doing 300 units
Yeah,
of
there's
each.
only gonna be a total of, I think, 900 hats, because it's 300 of each. 300 of the black bar, 300 of the white bar, and 300 of the ace. Right? Is that the right units?
Yes.
So like, sub 1,000 total. And for perspective, we move 1,000 units in 5 minutes when we drop shit now. So it's gonna be, wild.
But for me, like just like remembering the first samples that we got and just all the fucking failures we've had in this company, like it's just these little failures, like still like walking through the airport or like being in a different country in Asia and just someone walks by with a Melon hat, like that gives me like the happiest feeling.
That's amazing.
I think of you, I think of all of you guys, and like especially Brian, because like the most passionate person I've ever seen about one product. Just when people walk by, I'm just like, yeah, he did it.
Thank you.
There's so many times. Like I remember the first time you guys took me to my first meeting. I was shitting my pants. I was with like Eminem's manager at some cafe in LA. To me, it was the coolest thing in the world, and like seeing you guys pitch for the first time was like an eye-opening experience.
Oh, was it Jimmy Iovine?
No, it wasn't. It was the first, what you just
was
literally
Paul?
said. Yeah, but just seeing you guys pitch it for the first time in person and like leaving the meeting, and then like, that was my first time in LA too. And then like now seeing people wearing it all over the world, just like the craziest feeling.
It's the wildest one. It doesn't get old to see a stranger in the product where you go, wow, that's incredible.
Honestly, though, just super proud of you guys. Been rooting for you guys on the sidelines, seriously, every step of the way, and never questioned we knew you'd be successful always, but just watching it and
yes,
it's been fun to watch.
We should talk
you, yeah.
future collabs 100% together. Like,
Best hats in the world, though. Get them while you can. 900 units.
let's go.
Hey, zoom in on that. Ooh.
Right here, bro.
Oh, look at that.
I'm wearing it, bro.
Look at the box, though.
Oh, yeah.